full board president, town administrator. We're recording the meeting audio wise, so we can use it for minute creation, so if you're gonna speak, by all means, please announce your name so we know who you are. That being said, we're gonna get moving here. Welcome, everybody. Is there anybody wants to make a motion on the minutes?
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Alright, all of them?
Yeah, sure, why not? Okay. I'll make a motion to accept the regular selectmen meeting minutes from March 31st at 7 PM as written.
Second. Alright, we got motion and second, any discussion, gentlemen?
I am good.
They look really good, lean, things considered.
Yep.
The only thing I know is, in the beginning, it got a little bit lengthy there, almost like you're kinda like trying to paraphrase, but again, almost verbatim. If you don't wanna sit there and type forever, I mean, use your best judgment, or, I mean, as long as we have the high notes.
Yep,
Because, I mean, unless it takes you a while to
I'm
type that up.
hoping I don't have to do it anymore in the near future.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Oops, did I grab that by mistake?
That's all right.
Okay, I'll make a motion to accept the non-public selectmen meeting minutes from March 31st at 8:20 PM as written.
Second. Alright, any discussion, gentlemen? Alright, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you, sir.
And I'll make a motion to accept the selectmen's non-public meeting minutes from March 31 at 8:33 PM as written.
Second.
Alright, any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright, we have minutes. While you sign that, we'll open up the floor for public comments. And start and work our way this way. Leo?
None, no.
Nothing? Don? Fred?
Oh,
Oh,
one thing.
you lost your chance, sorry, too bad.
Ah.
Just kidding. Go ahead, Don.
For Arts on the Common, we have some banners and we wanna be able to post them, ahead of time on the commons.
Is that a cat?
Sounds like a mad cat.
Oh, it's a phone. Thought we had a cat in the lead.
I'm sorry, but it's you
One
and
of
I
the
don't have
bobcats
to
up
turn
there.
it on.
Okay.
Nice Carol.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Don, go ahead.
Yeah, we just, wanna post, a couple of banners on there ahead of time, so people will see it going by to help draw attention to the event.
Alright.
But,
You don't have any,
I don't have a
I'm
problem.
alright.
I don't either.
Okay,
By consensus, have at it.
okay, we just wanna get official permission, so.
I appreciate that, thank
Yeah.
you. Fred, you said you're all set?
Yeah.
Clem?
All set, thanks.
Jen, right?
Yep.
Right.
I'm I'm horrible with names, I don't forget faces, but I'm horrible with names, so if I mispronounce, I apologize, I
You
forget.
did that right.
You all set?
Nothing, yeah.
Carol, right?
Yep. Pronounce the last name.
No.
No.
I know that much, it starts with a P, right?
What's your cat's name?
It would sound like a cat, you were trying to pronounce it.
Just visiting today.
Alright, well, it's open for public comment, if you had anything you wanted to say.
What is your last name? P-I-W.
I will start with a P.
C-Z-Y-K.
Sounds like Zork or something like that. Italy?
It's Polish, what do you want?
Yeah. It's a tough one.
That's why I like Pike, it's real easy, it's simple, 4 letters, you can't mess it up. Sir?
No.
Dan?
I'm good, thanks.
Mark?
I'm good, thank you.
Alright. Hearing no other public comment, well, we're gonna close that and move forward with the agenda. I don't see Donna here, so she didn't come, so cross her off. Alright. Next on the agenda is the employee only sign. Now, we did that
A couple weeks ago.
a month ago or so?
Right,
Right.
right.
I don't know if you recall that discussion, I don't know if you were on the board officially.
I wasn't, I might have differed with you.
Yeah. I know, well, the board's perception was the fact that it's, you know, an area where you're gonna have personal information and such like that, you know, it's, we owe it to the public to keep their information secure. So we figured it's employee only, so we don't have people just coming in and out,
Right.
that sort of thing.
My concern, it's a small town.
Yep.
I've been here several times over many, many years, where you could sometimes be invited in to sit down, to share information. I think that's an intrusion on that, so.
Well, we didn't say you couldn't do that, if there was a need to, you know, that's up to the individual person, but we just didn't want, if the door is wide open and people just coming and going without.
The sign itself, Brian,
Mhm,
in my opinion, makes it look too formal.
mhm.
And I think that's a discretion of the people sitting on that side,
Yeah.
whether or not you should be inside or
Okay.
outside, and that's just my personal
understand.
opinion.
Yeah, I would disagree. I think that we as public officials owe it to the taxpayers to provide a certain level of security with your information. And when you've got folks, I don't care which office that they're in all the way down the road, but if you've got public going into what I would consider a non-public space, you don't know what information might be there that, you know, is not for the public's eyes.
On the desk, on the.
You just don't know, I mean, because it's a working environment, so you don't know what, you know, any individual may be working on. And if you have the public in that working space, then, you know, what they can see is what they can see.
But my point being, the people that you're talking about, that would be in that space, those people that have been there long enough to know what to keep out of someone's sight and what not to leave in someone's sight. When they're dealing with a person, they're dealing with the issue that that person has with them. So I don't see a lot of speculation as far as other information being out there, but.
You know, as a citizen and a taxpayer, I wouldn't be happy about it, even, you know, not being on a board, but I just don't think it's proper.
I know we've also had a few audits done, and one was even a procedural audit, and it's in there about security. We have a lack of security in this building, and that was one of the things that they brought up as well. So, I mean, that's coming from an outside third party looking in, saying we need to
And,
lock it down better.
and it depends what level of security they're talking about. I really think that someone coming in, someone that, maybe compromised, maybe they can't walk or, have difficulties, or they just may wanna sit down and chat for a few minutes on something that pertains to them,
Mhm.
don't have that ability if there's a sign up. And the other thing is, the places that you wanna put them are elected officials, and I think they have a choice as to how they service the residents coming in. If you don't wanna spend a lot of time there, that's fine, you go to the window, you do whatever you have to do and you're out. But if someone has some issues that they wanna discuss, they have that opportunity.
Well, I mean, I tend to disagree. I mean, just because you're an elected official doesn't give you carte blanche authority to do whatever you want, whenever you want. Only in your respective authority that the RSA's allow you to. As selectmen, we are responsible and have the fiduciary responsibilities to take and keep this town, you know,
And I'll go
functioning
back,
and, you know, and all buildings and all that stuff is under our purview. And how they're maintained, how they're, you know, accessed and egressed and everything.
but I guess we'll have a difference of opinion, because we're gonna go back to what I'm gonna say is, it's still a small town. Everybody knows just about everybody in this town, and I just think it's an intrusion on, something that can be offered to them, you know?
I've been to a number of other small town locations, and what, honestly, my current position is at work. And, you know, there's been other smaller towns than this, and I see employee-only signs or non-public, you know, or, you know, that's what they.
Authorized
Authorized personnel, yeah, you name it, to keep people
Whatever you
out,
wanna call it,
you know, the general public, you know, unless you're invited in, you know, which, that option's still available. If they need to bring someone in and say, hey, come on in, have a seat, you know, we need to go over this, it's more in detail than just standing out there at the counter. You know, they have that option.
Well, being a small town, I don't think it takes a sign to let people know whether or not they're invited in or not, cause the people on the other side of that wall know exactly what they want to transpire, so. We're just gonna disagree on that
Yep.
point.
Alright, so. I know it's on the agenda, so I assume if you want,
Well, as the board had recommended, I approached the two individuals without the signs to try to get it resolved, that we could come up with an agreement. And tax collector said she didn't have a problem, she didn't like the words employee only, so she was agreeable to using,
oh, we can change the wording, that's.
Yeah, the
yeah,
wording
yeah,
can be
right,
changed,
right,
yeah.
which is not a problem, but then when I approached Linda and we discussed it, it's for some time, because I'm trying to be open and give a little, and she said that she wasn't interested,
Well,
so that's why she's here. I can't force her to do anything, I'm just letting you know that I made the attempt, and she's here to let you know her reasons why.
you wanna speak on it, I
Well,
assume?
first, before I forget, it's interesting that Selectman Pike, you just said you saw it was on the agenda, so that, the town administrator must have wanted it. I had
Well,
sent, and,
no, I knew there was,
did I
don't-
misunderstand?
hold
No,
on,
that you wanted it on the agenda, well, why don't you let me finish? I sent her an email a few days ago
Okay.
and said that it was okay, I didn't need to see the Board of Selectmen on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got told that, one of the selectmen brought it up and, asked that it be put on the agenda, so I'm curious as to how one selectman can request something to go on the agenda, unless I misunderstood. I thought something like that had to be done by a whole board.
no, I don't believe
Is
so.
agenda item? Well,
Agenda
I think
item, no, I mean, everybody has the, like any board, whether it's a board of directors or not, wants something on the agenda, it can be put on the agenda. Decisions and discussion have to be done as a board as a whole. So I think
So
that,
if one selectman asked for something to
Right,
be
I
put on
mean,
the agenda,
using Bob as an example, since he's sitting right here, if he sees something, if he wants it on the agenda, you can let Lee know, we put it on the agenda, we can talk about it.
so the other two of you don't have to agree to that.
No.
I'm not familiar with that, so
it's-
I'm just
No,
asking for
it's,
clarity.
Well,
I've
that'd
been
be
here,
no different than the public asking for an item on the agenda.
and no different than when we walk
Same
around the board.
difference, yeah.
When we go around the table, we do that,
I'm
we
just,
bring
as
stuff
I
up,
said,
so.
not familiar, so I'm just looking for clarification on that.
Mhm.
All right, as far as the sign goes, as an agent for the Department of Motor Vehicles, I cannot issue a plate or a sticker or anything unless I have attended all of their training and get recertified in all of their training. That includes privacy acts, the Driver Protection Act, which is a federal act, not just a state act, but it is mentioned in statute, I think RSA 260, but I'm not entirely sure right now. There's also the administrative rules that mention the privacy. So I think that something like this is redundant. I know about the privacy.
You do, but not everybody else that walks in this
The public
building
doesn't.
doesn't.
Okay, so, let me finish. My door is closed. Okay. How many members of the public do you think just barge in when my door is closed? I think they pretty much know that a door closed means knock or whatever. My door is usually closed. That to me is privacy enough. If I invite someone into my office, before they enter that door, I do take a look around and make sure there is nothing sensitive that is non-public that would be in their view. I already go to these measures. I think that a sign like this is just kind of rude to the people we serve. I think it might as well just say, get out and stay out.
I disagree.
Well, you can disagree, but while the purview, as you say, of the Board of Selectmen is this building, and certainly it is the security of this building, my little corner of the world, my purview is people's privacy, and I appreciate the opportunity to handle it in my way. You as the Board of Selectmen, your authority over other elected officials, with the exception of the road agent, extends to our budgets. I think that you pushing this employees only is overstepping, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but maybe just to remind you, I know about the privacy, I've been doing this for
No one said you did.
many years. Well, it kind of does. Now, even during the times when it's maybe sunny out, I want more sunlight in my office, I wanna move the air around, if I open the top half of the door, cause you know, I have the Mr. Ed door, as some people call it.
Yep.
I put this sign up, very positive, and even that says, it says, don't come in without saying don't come in. It just directs you to the place where you're welcome to do business. That is the way I wish to handle the people I serve. I really would prefer not to have a sign on my door.
Well, we need consistency
Absolutely.
in whatever it is we do in the building. Now, I know down in the selectman's office, there is a sign on that half door down there. But whatever we do needs to be consistent, so that it's not different as you walk up and down the aisle.
Then you can take the signs off the other doors, but I will not be putting a sign up.
Well, I would disagree with your original, assumption or assertion that we don't have any authority, you know, the building support. Inside those four walls is your office, that's yours. Outside the four walls is ours. If you really wanna get cut and dry, it's just like the school building. Inside those four walls is the school, outside is the town's. No different. So, if, on the outside is the outside, not the inside.
I'd be interested to
So-
know how the public feels
you're
about
gonna see
this when we're done. This is my personal opinion, I feel that it's insulting to the people I serve. And that's how I'm gonna go, I'm not putting up a sign, I decorate my door at my own expense to make it look somewhat inviting, even though people are not invited in the office unless I've asked them. But I try to make the area look as comfortable and welcoming as possible. So, I'm not gonna be putting up a sign. I think it counters what I try to provide for the people I serve. And that is my decision on that matter, but I would be interested to know how the public feels since
Well, when we
we
have
have a few
public comment
members.
at the end of the meeting, then you can hear it. It's not gonna be now. Judy?
If I can ask a question, what precipitated this?
Oh, you wanna help me on this, cause I think we
Yeah,
saw a
there
couple
was-
people in,
Well, there was, an email, that, came around for, somebody noticed public in
That's right.
what we considered to be non-public area. That was the first, flag that went up.
you can go this way if you like, so we don't
Yeah,
get
I
cramped.
will, sorry.
No, that's all right.
So, and then, and I wouldn't say I disagree, you know, there are workspaces, you know, that to me just should be non-public. It's a workspace, it's, you know, your workspace, but it's not a public space. This public shouldn't be back there. I can't even think of a reason why they should be there, other than if they're coming in for a specific meeting with you,
Correct.
you know, for something, then that
Well,
would be different.
That has been, since I've started, the only reason why anyone's ever come into my office, unless it's
But I wouldn't-
official business.
But I wouldn't know that. If
So-
I was coming into the building and I saw.
But why would you have to know that? It would be no
Well,
different.
no, right away, I would wonder why non-public, or public is in what I would consider to be a non-public space.
But
It's
if I'm
perception.
gonna continue, and I agreed that I thought authorized personnel would be a better
Yeah,
sign
that's
than
fine.
employees
That's fine,
only,
yeah.
because it brings up it brings up the question, there are meetings that are held here in the office after hours,
Yeah.
committee meetings, and yet they're using my space.
yeah,
Is
but I
that,
would hope that when you're not there, your space is put away. You know, all the confidential whatevers you could have are
Computers
put
are
away,
turned
and they're not gonna be available to anyone having a meeting.
true,
As opposed to when you're in your
and
office.
that was one of the reasons why I suggested authorized personnel
Yeah,
only.
no, that's
Yeah.
fine, I'm okay with that. But when you're in your workspace, you've got work out on your desk, I mean, we all do it in our work environments. And there are things you have out in front of you that just aren't for the public's eyes.
I don't disagree with that, but it still comes back around the same thing as to what precipitated this, because and at least I can only speak on my, from my own experience, that only the people that have been in my office have been in my office on official business. It's never been, and they've been invited in,
Yep.
because in my position, so it's not even, whether you have a sign on my door or don't, I will still operate the way I've always operated, that if someone has sensitive information, sensitive business that they wanna discuss,
Yep.
I take in cash. I don't particularly like to take in cash at the window when people are counting out thousands of
understood.
dollars.
Yeah,
I like to have them come in, sit, we go over it, they add it, I add it, we add, there's checks and balance
Yep.
here.
But they're invited in, but for a particular reason. Excuse me, particular reason,
Right, but that
purpose.
was always the case,
Right,
so
yeah.
that's why I'm wondering, that's why I keep coming
Yeah,
back,
well-
when you say you see, well, I wonder what people are doing in there, well, it's gonna be, it's no different than what it is already, that's my only
It's
point.
perception, Judy. You know, you don't know why anybody's ever in anybody's workspace. You know, it's just, but without some sort of notifier there, it's just an open door.
Yeah, it's no different than the police station, I mean, your doors are all locked and closed because of confidential information and security.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, I'm
No,
pulling you
it's
in,
just-
but
Oh, no,
it's an
I'm,
example, right, so I mean, obviously, we're, you know, the town office isn't to the extent of the police station, obviously, that's why we're just figuring a couple of signs just to give everybody fair warning that only
Yeah,
authorized.
and I wouldn't expect
personnel
folks
is
to be
fine.
walking into, you know, Lean's office space, cause there's definitely, you know, things out there that just aren't for the public eye.
And that's have to be.
So I just think it ought to be consistent, you know, with, some sort of signage, and the words don't need to be employee only, but something,
and you said there was an email from,
yeah, from a citizen.
We should put bulletproof glass on.
Are we ready, are you done, Judy?
yes,
Um,
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no, that's okay, because you had, this affects you
I
as
do
well.
a lot.
Okay, I had a couple more things.
Well, can you wait, only because we are way past our public hearing, I think a lot of these people are here for the public hearing.
Well, I'll just make them brief then, since they're all here for the public hearing.
Well, I didn't say they all were, but I would assume some of them are.
One is that, because of the privacy that I'm required to provide, that means that employees don't have carte blanche to walk into my office, because the records, almost every record I deal with is extremely private. And that means the board of selectmen, the town administrator, I mean, nobody can come in without my invitation. That was just one point I wanted to make. And the other point is, because of the privacy, the law says I should or could provide, I probably would have the right to see everybody in my office if I so desired, because it more protects the privacy of the person I'm waiting for to be one-on-one with me than to be standing at a counter where everybody within earshot can hear them. I'm meeting halfway by having that counter space between me and the public. But I can certainly check with the AG's office and the Secretary of State's office to find out if I'm within my right to do away with the counter and have them in my office. I'd rather not do that, because that counter does provide me a certain level of privacy without having to constantly turn over papers to keep them from the public's eye. And now you can go on with your public hearing.
Thank you.
I'm gonna pick this up after the fact.
Yep, that's fine.
It's definitely past the time for public hearing, so I'm gonna open up the public hearing regarding the town hall library roof. For information, folks, we sent out 21, 22? 21 bids, their bid packets to 21 different vendors, all after took the suggestion from the last public hearing and had a certified architect, a professional, whatever they call them, go through all the documents and everything and write them up, and we sent them out, and we received 2 bids, ironically from the same 2 people we had prior, and the prices, I think, were pretty much almost identical.
Yeah, well, and let me just talk about
Yeah.
the RFP for a moment.
Sure.
We hired Jerry Tempe to help us with, putting together the spec, because admittedly, on the first set of, RFPs we put out, we didn't spec the metal very good. And, so he helped us with that, didn't really make many changes to the RFP itself, but he did put together a nice spec for, both the slate and the metal. So we, and then he gave us recommendations, the town hall theater folks gave us contractors, we had a list of contractors, and that ended up being like 21 different bid packages that went out. So after all of that, we received 2. Just a little history on what happened.
We have the figures, or some figures,
Yeah, I hope that's what she's gonna get, cause I don't have them.
she would have them up here for us. anyway, we do have samples,
The metal is
to our,
there, we
To your
have another
right.
sample here, this was a sample we received earlier, but it's the same material. So we have this piece here that's on this display board, but it turned out that the contractor that offered up that metal is offering up this same product.
excuse me, they also have,
And then the
two,
slate is,
two original slates as
the
well,
Vermont slate.
along with the Vermont slate over there, so if you wanna get up while we're
And
waiting
there's
for
a,
prices,
spec here,
you're welcome to
if anybody wants to look at
take
it.
the tire, so to speak, if you like, look at them, I guess.
I think the price is-
I already went up before you guys came in, was looking at it.
No problem.
Won't take up somebody else's space.
Yeah, these are the specs on the different materials.
All day. This is not helping it. Those are originals, right?
Those are the old-
Yeah, those are the
Yeah.
originals.
That's this, same thing?
Yeah, same thing, same product. So it says the labeling anywhere else.
Nice looking too. I forgot to ask him about it. I didn't think about that.
What you guys think of Jerry Tepper? He's pretty good to work with.
Yeah, he was easy to work with.
Been paying attention though.
Oh, you did a nice job.
Yeah, he did a nice job.
Did he, remember somebody mentioned about adjusting the size of the squares?
You mean for the dimensions of the building, or?
No, for how much material.
Well, I don't know, looking at it, looks like steel.
He may have, I don't recall, Clint, if he actually did, I don't
It's
remember.
been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while, but he, you know, he came and visited with us a couple times, actually, and, took our, you know, RFP packet. And, you know, based on the information we had from, previous meeting, with, everybody with the town, he went off and put together a spec for, the metal and the, slate for us.
Do these products meet the spec?
Yeah.
Thickness and so forth?
Yep.
Warranties?
Yep.
100-year warranty on the slate.
Yeah, I don't have his,
100-year warranty on the slate.
No, they have 10 years.
I don't remember off the top of my head what it is, yeah.
Or the fasteners are 10.
Maybe the nails are 10 years.
Yeah, it might be.
On the slate.
I mean, yeah, slate's not gonna go anywhere unless the nails break.
Are the two contractors, are they here?
Here in the room, I don't know.
I'm here,
We don't want
Century
you.
Roofing.
Pardon?
Century?
I'm kind of unique because I actually own a home in town also, so I'm
Ah.
a taxpayer and
Great. Okay.
Cool. So the answer is yes, one
Yeah,
of them is
good.
here.
and the reason that metal's the same is because if I'm not correct, that's what the guy specified was that particular brand in that particular color.
Okay. Is that, did you guys check that to see if
Yeah, no,
what's
we've
being
gone back
proposed
to it.
meets the spec?
I guess, I'm probably just as concerned as you guys are that there's only two bidders out of the 21 that will come here and
Yeah.
price, come to the town and price stuff.
Yeah,
Any idea why that's happening?
no, we don't. I
None?
know previously, Jeff thought maybe the spec that we had, you know, might have scared him off. And
No, you
part of
said
the
you-
reason for,
Did you say you had 21
You send out
we
21.
sent out.
people that were interested in
No,
this?
Oh, we didn't say they were interested.
We had-
There were 21 people that were identified to us as potential bidders.
Okay.
Yeah, and plus we also put it in the newspaper.
Yeah, we ran it in the
It
newspaper
was on the
and
website for.
town webpage.
Construction summary? Did you go to construction summary?
That I don't know.
Yeah, it's,
I'd have to ask Lean, cause she's one
Yeah.
takes care of
That's,
that.
that's generally where everybody goes to look for projects for bid.
Yeah.
I would be awfully concerned over that.
Yeah,
I don't think you're stopping.
yeah, we were disappointed.
Very much construction summary.
And it was- that we
And
got
so if we
sold.
have a professional proposal to put out there, and we still can't get people interested to work in this town, I think that there may be something else going on. I just want you guys to think of that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
no,
what was that? I just glanced at this, right, I didn't quite hear you.
If we have a professional proposal that goes out for work done, that we need done in this town, we can't get people interested to do it, we need to find out what the root cause of that is.
Oh, just as a quick refresher, if you could announce who you are, so, cause we're recording this.
Nathan Naris, Morse Road.
Thanks, Nate, appreciate it.
Well, I'm a little concerned that we don't have the amount of qualified bidders looking at our projects.
I think on the first set of bids we sent out, how many did we get back? I think we had three.
We had 3 back.
On the original,
Right.
RFP that we sent out. And then after, revamping the RFP and getting a list, and some of the lists were folks, that were given to us from the restoration, committee.
Right.
And even at that, we got no response.
Well, it's something to think about, and as people are busier and busier, the economy's
Yeah.
growing.
That would be a big part of it right there, we
You're
don't.
gonna
Could be
have
it too.
we're gonna have to get creative about this stuff.
Have you announced the bids yet?
They're posted on the website,
Yeah.
what we received under the RFPs.
Yeah.
And what we have, just for everybody's edification, let's see, LGR 1 Incorporated, slate roof materials, 75,000. Work outside of the scope, $75.
Brian, which one of these is the current bid, Lee?
This
The
is
one you're looking at,
right there.
This?
Yeah, right
That's
there.
What's
an
it?
R-
Oh, I got it,
Yes,
alright, I'm
I
with you. Okay, sorry. Got it.
Slate material roof, 75,000.
Is this a copy?
Yep.
Thank you.
Work outside of the scope, $75 per hour, cost of materials is 20% above cost for any extra materials. Century roofing, slate roof materials, 68,850. Work outside of scope, $65 an hour, materials 22% above cost. Century roofing for the metal roof was 43,250, work outside of scope, 65 per hour, 22% above cost. And LGR 1 Incorporated for the metal roofing was 68,000 even, outside of the scope, $60 an hour, and materials are 20% above cost. So, that was the numbers. So, if we go with our usual low bid, Century Roofing was the slate and also the metal.
this is the excerpts of the meeting that this was discussed, and in the order that was open, so
Right.
that's why it is.
Got a handout there, Brian? Don, I got it.
Don?
Don Larson, Birchview Drive. Can we, maybe be proactive on this, and, I'd be more than happy to take your list and get a hold of these people and find out what the deal is, plus maybe some other bids, if we have a packet that has the bid material in it, take it out face to face and, talk to them. A town committee or something.
Yep.
Too late. Once
Yeah.
you've opened the bids, you've announced the bids,
Right,
somebody could walk in with $3 less and
yeah.
claim
No,
bill a
no,
little
right.
bit.
Now, the bids are what they are, but I mean, if you were just gonna go and find out why, like Nate was saying, what's the reason for why you
Yeah.
didn't put a bid in? If that's what you were gonna do, I don't.
No, just try to get more bids in, period.
Oh, well,
It's
it's too
too
late
late.
now.
Are you obligated to go with the lowest bidder?
By our purchasing policy, yes, for the most part.
What about quality?
That's,
you gotta
those are
cons-
factors,
Yeah, that's
you can take
another
away in,
factor.
absolutely,
It needs to be weighed in too.
yeah. But, and that's why we have references and stuff like that, and need to be checked, we haven't gone that direction yet, because we're having a public hearing here to hear from you folks before we move forward.
Okay,
Cause a lot of it's gonna decide on whether we're going with slate or metal.
right.
Can I just point out for the public that our first RFP, which was sent out in October,
Mhm.
this is a sample of what we received. The revised RFP that had specs that we weren't really sure of, that we paid someone to pull together, gave us a quote, where he just read off today, and this is, for example, the size of the slate that was based on the RFP. So you can see the difference in size. So we were missing that information. That's what was on the town roof before. You can see this is identical
Right.
in size, so this gentleman was astute enough to be able to pull together information that would be pertinent to what we had for this size building and how we can get the biggest bang for our buck,
Okay.
which we wouldn't have noticed the difference, with today's choices.
I'm Chip Frost, great. For the for the tape.
Thank you, Chuck. We got Fred Malone there.
Yeah, Lee Martell. So did we correct the structural problems for slate roof if we go that route?
Well, we put it in the RFP such that they have to give us a day to basically pull the purling off so we can take and get material in there and then seal it up and then continue on their way, so we have a day built into the contract for that.
Do we have a contractor to do that?
No.
No,
Okay.
not yet,
No,
but-
cause the original suggestion on that was it was gonna be volunteers.
Do you have the volunteers to do that?
Not as of yet, we haven't even got to this point where we get
Yeah.
anything going, I mean, we have to start somewhere and then we'll go from there, I mean, we've,
Good, you clarify what that project is that work on the purlins of the roof?
what is,
Chuck Frost again?
I'd have to probably defer to Jeff Truxler here to help us out a little, because it was his analysis that precipitated it. But as I understand, we have some wood up there that's not completely square. And,
It looks square from Route 13.
yeah, it
It
does.
does.
And I'm being simplistic in it and such, but we need to take and get some other materials up there to take and, bring things together and strengthen it.
Okay.
Jeff, by all means,
Jeff Drexler for the record. I prepared a preliminary structural assessment for the Town Hall Theater Restoration Committee back in 2012. Essentially looking at the existing building to determine what condition it was in, what might have to happen to the building if an addition was put on, and also to try to figure out what was up there. And at that time, it was considered a preliminary review because we didn't spend a lot of time doing calculations, but I did note that there were some issues with some of the roof framing, and that was all put into the report. The idea being that if the town hall project moved forward, the repair would be part of that town hall project, renovation project. There is, the report indicates that we've got some purlins that are undersized, appear to be undersized, that recommendation is to reinforce. There's purlins on the ends of the buildings that aren't properly supported, that we need to develop another means of support. And trusses, the timber trusses up there, the top cord that cuts across the attic is in compression, and we observe that those are bent to the side, they're sweeping, they're buckling. And so we'd wanna straighten them if we can, but then introduce some bracing to keep them in point. So there's some stuff in there that needs to be done. None of the design work has been done to determine what that needs to be. That was all supposed to be part of the town hall project originally.
And that would have to be done for either slate or metal?
as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, that for slate would probably be ideal to do that. With metal, with a reduced weight load, it's not as critical. Is that?
My recommendation is to do it regardless.
Yeah, absolutely, but it's not, like I say, it's not as critical with the,
Yeah, I mean, if you go with slate, you're certainly putting more weight back on the roof.
absolutely.
However, the ceiling on the second floor used to be, over the majority of the second floor used to be the tin, which is fairly light.
Yep.
Now there's a 5/8" drywall on strapping. And I presume at some point when that gets renovated, they're gonna put tin back. So we've added dead load to the bottom cord, which
Yep.
is affecting those trusses. Putting the slate back on essentially brings us to a total load on the trusses greater than what we had originally.
Fred?
Yeah, was there a date that you were gonna receive the bids and open them or not, or?
Yep. we
Okay.
did.
So like Jeff says, if you got to that date, you open up the bids, you can't go out and get more bids.
Correct.
Because even if it's 50
Unless
cents.
we reject these and then go out again, but I mean,
Right.
that'd be the
That's
first
not
time.
fair to the people that did
No, it
the
isn't.
bidding, but, also you ought to put in the contracts when you, in the future is, you guys reserve the right to reject any or all bids because, you might get somebody in there, gives you a real low bid, and he's useless.
I believe we already have that in there.
Do you?
It is in there.
Okay,
Right, first right of refusal.
yeah. When I was up looking at it before, I was looking at the tin roof, that's steel, right, it's not aluminum?
Steel.
So, my concern is what happens if something dings the roof, would that thing rust?
Potential.
Or hailstones?
Yeah.
It's certainly, I don't know this particular product, and maybe our local roofer can tell us, but it's certainly, meant for use across the country where they've got hail and so
Right.
forth. It's got a certain proprietary, multi-coating system on it, and it's already got a kind of a
It's got a
different
powder
texture to
coat
it.
on that, which also protects it.
And there's I can't remember what their product name is, some Kai Ply, something or other, but
maybe you could
Well,
weigh
in
in
my
on that.
opinion, speaking as a taxpayer in town.
Yep.
And being in the roofing industry since basically I was 15 years old, I don't think there's any comparison between the two systems. Now, there's about a $20,000 spread between the two systems, but you're looking at something here that in essence is a lifetime installation if it's done properly.
Right.
This is something like this, which, I mean, it's a Kynar coating, it's a very good coating, but it's still a painted coating. 10 years down the road, if a panel gets damaged and you have to change out a panel, you're never gonna match. Now, they say you only get so many delta units and fade, but experience and history tells you that there's a major difference. If you went to put a panel on 10 years down the road, whereas if you had, I don't know, why a slate would crack, but if you had to replace a couple pieces of the slate, you can see how close those two are. And in fact, you can get slate that's used to repair if you had to replace pieces. As a taxpayer, and by the way, my name's Paul Modulewski, I just wanted it on record that if the town did decide to go with the metal and I was awarded the job, I feel more comfortable, much more comfortable with the slate and don't like the metal. I didn't even bid the metal in the first go-around because I felt that strongly about it.
Wow, that's good to hear.
Now, you represent which roofing?
Century.
Century, that's what I thought.
Brian,
Yes, right.
can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Do you have any guesstimate idea of why some of these slates would fail?
I don't think it was the
nails
slate that
or-
failed, I think it was the fasteners
I
that
believe
failed.
that's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. So you think if they had a different fastener, the slate would still be up there?
Either stainless or copper.
Copper.
They wanted
Okay.
copper, but that's not gonna rot out.
Yeah, okay.
Can I ask a question too?
Sure.
What do you think about the appearance of the metal versus the slate as well? When you look at a building,
I mean, you're
And
gonna,
it's
you're gonna
not
put
one
the
or the
building
other.
back to the way it looked like when the
Right.
building was constructed.
it's
you
just
know,
that
so-
I see houses with metal roofs, and to me, they look altogether different than a slate roof.
That,
know, they
that's
just don't.
made to mimic
They,
slate, but
yeah, that's the
in
problem.
reality, it doesn't.
Right, so,
And
if
that's
you
my
got a good
opinion,
eye, you know the difference.
of course. Oh, you're never,
And-
you're gonna know that
You-
that's metal when it's up there. The sheen is
Yeah.
gonna be different, there's gonna be a lot of different.
How much does the, will a piece of that metal move, you know, like hot and cold versus the slate? Is there a lot, I mean, there's gotta be a lot
They
of
move, but the
movement,
way
I
that's
think.
designed to interlock together, it allows for movement.
Does it?
Well, it's either gonna expand the contractor as a unit, really, cause it's.
Correct.
So the whole roof is gonna expand, not
Correct.
one tile.
Well, the other question, if I could,
Absolutely.
repairability, for the metal versus the slate, is my,
The slate is
I
much
think
easier.
slate is much either, and also if the town hall library renovation theater project ever does get rekindled, you know, we're looking at possibility modifying the building, so, you know, which is better,
Well, that particular
You
panel is
modify the
designed to
building.
install from left to right in a pyramid pattern.
yeah,
So if you were gonna take pieces off, you may actually be having to undo that whole facet to put everything back together.
Okay. so the slate,
The
Would
slate,
be
you could
better.
just take off the pieces
If
in the
you-
affected area and then work it back in.
okay.
I'd like to ask him another. Sure. Those are gonna be on by fasteners, you said?
Those will be out with copper roofing now.
So you're gonna have, the higher up you go, the more is gonna be over the top of the lower. How do you
That's
change the
gotta-
lower?
How do you, afterwards,
Yeah, if
if
it's
you had to
damaged,
change something out,
yeah.
what you would do with a Slater's hook, you go in and you would bang the nail out, pull that piece of tile out. They call them Slater's hook. Simple way to do it is a big piece of copper wire with a hook, fasten that down under the headlap, slide the new piece of slate in, and then bend the little copper tab on the bottom to keep that slate from sliding down.
I was curious about that.
Nate?
I'd like to make a comment.
Sure.
With the difficulties of construction and all the knowledges and disciplines that there are there, I would highly recommend that you guys have from, appoint from your board a liaison to this project, so that one person knows what's going on.
Yeah, we already talked about that, and, at this point, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, we talked about the building inspector, being the construction administrator.
I
Because
don't
he
know
works
if,
for us.
I don't know if, I don't know if that's a good idea, because you're dealing with a different department now.
Oh, I mean, it's their.
When you guys make the decisions,
Mhm.
I think it should be one of you.
That would be nice, but,
Two of us are out of town all day.
That's my opinion.
exactly.
Yeah,
I have a regular
Yeah,
job.
yeah.
I attend. Right?
A lot of big construction, I worked in a construction for 39 years, and they would hire a clerk of the works, whether it's the city, the town,
Right.
selectman, whatever,
Mhm.
that's knowledgeable in that. Is that be cheaper in the long run, or
Potentially,
Yeah.
we'd have to find somebody.
is that somebody that could be the representative for the selectman, like Nate's talking about?
Could be, absolutely. Yeah, it's an option, I mean, we just haven't explored
Yeah,
that
we
option.
haven't explored that.
Cause I think that would be, an insurance backing for the town, make sure the roof is done right, no matter who does it, you know, the
Yeah.
quality.
When I say
Control.
construction administrator, I'm from the DOT, that's what we call a clerk of the works,
Yeah,
the same
right,
thing,
yeah.
right? It's very identical.
Well, I mean, a liaison wouldn't be so, liaison, you wouldn't be bound to have your, you wouldn't be so much bound with a liaison, it would just be one of you guys that oversee the project.
And I'll take the annual time off, but, someone's gonna have to pay me a lot more than what you're thinking, because
Yeah.
I'd eat up my time, that I have banked for my retirement.
Understood.
Where is it here? Let's see if the town of Wilton raised approved the sum of $61,000 for the new roof. So,
61?
61, so that, just to give everybody, just as a reminder. Yeah, it was, 61,000 was, voted